Like sweet morning dew, Lord, when I found you, it was plain to see you were my destiny. Arms open wide, I threw away my pride. I sacrificed for you, dedicate my life for you. I go where you lead, you're always there in time of need. Am I not losing my way? You'll be there, push me up the hill. That's no looking back for us. We got love, show love, that's enough. You're all I need to get by. For me, you gave the way. I stand by you like a tree. If there anybody to try to move me, Jesus and you are fine. Straight where I was torn down. Don't know what's in store, but I know you can open any door. All to do what pleases you. You inspire me. I know you can make a man out of a soul who didn't have a goal. 'Cause Lord, you are my sure foundation. Every love and determination. You're all I wanna stop for and do a little warrior. All the joys under the sun wrapped up into warrior. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need to get by. You're all I need to get Can't make it without you. Like sweet morning dew, but when I found you, it was plain to see you were my destiny. Arms open wide, I threw away my pride. I sacrificed for you, dedicate my life for you. I go where you lead, you're always there in time of need. Am I not losing my way? You'll be there, push me up the hill. There's no looking back for us. We got love, show love, that's enough. You're all I need to get by. Like a new Texas, for me you gave the face. I stand by you like a tree, and dare anybody to try to move me. Jesus, you are fine, straight where I was told. Don't know what's in store, but I know you can open any door. Try to do what pleases you. You inspire me. I know you can make a man out of a soul who didn't have a goal. 'Cause Lord, you are my sure foundation, and with the love and determination, you're all I want. Stop on, do a little warrior. All the joys under the sun went up into warrior. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need to get by. Like sweet morning dew, but when I found you, it was plain to see you were my destiny. Arms open wide, I threw away my pride. I sacrificed for you, dedicate my life for you. I go where you lead, you're always there in time of need. Am I not losing my way? You'll be there, push me up the hill. There's no looking back for us. We got love, show love, that's enough. You're all I need to get by. Like a new Texas nest, for me you gave the best. I stand by you like a tree, and dare anybody to try to move me. Jesus, and you are fine, straight where I was told. Don't know what's in store, but I know you can open any door. Time to do what pleases you. You inspire me. I know you can make a man out of a soul who didn't have a goal. 'Cause Lord, you are my sure foundation, and with the love and determination, you're all I want. Stop on, do a little warrior. All the joys under the sun went up into warrior. You're all I need. You're all I need. sing. You were my destiny. Arms open wide, I threw away my pride. I sacrificed for you, dedicate my life for you. I go where you lead, you're always there in time of need. Am I not losing my way? You'll be there, push me up the hill. There's no looking back for us. We got love, show love, that's love. You're all I need to get by. Like a little Texas nest, for me you gave the best. I stand by you like a tree, and dare anybody to try me. Jesus and you I found, straight where I was torn. Don't know what's in store, but I know you can open any door. Time to do what pleases you, you inspire me. Oh, I know you can take a man out of a soul who didn't have a goal. Cause Lord, you are my sure foundation, and with the love and determination, you're all, Lord, I won't stop on, do a little warrior. All the joys under the sun, wrapped up into warrior. Lord, I need, Lord, I need. You're all I need to get by. Like sweet morning dew, Lord, when I found you, it was plain to see you were my destiny. Arms open wide, I threw away my pride. I sacrificed for you, dedicate my life for you. I go where you lead, you're always there in time of need. Am I not losing my way? You'll be there, push me up the hill. There's no looking back for us. We got love, show love, that's love. You're all I need to get by. Like a little Texas nest, for me you gave the best. I stand by you like a tree, and dare anybody to try me. Jesus and you I found, straight where I was torn. Don't know what's in store, but I know you can open any door. What pleases you, you inspire me. Oh, I know you can take a man out of a soul who didn't have a goal. Cause Lord, you are my sure foundation, and with the love and determination, you're all, Lord, I won't stop on, do a little warrior. All the joys under the sun, wrapped up into warrior. Lord, I need, Lord, I need. You're all I need All right. Well, hello, ladies, to all of my beautiful sisters who are watching us on this evening. If you're watching us via Facebook, if you are on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, however you're watching us, thank you for watching us. And brothers, I know you are watching too. So that is fine just as well. But it's good to see all of you all on tonight. Welcome to our annual Ladies Pajama Party. I am excited about this. I've been announcing this for quite some time and really excited that we have this forum that's, just for us. So we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to have some laughs, have some fun. I'm looking forward to this discussion. So please, if you're out there, make sure you invite your friend, your family member, your Sarah, your sister girl, whoever it is that's close to you, your coworker. Share this broadcast with them because it's all about us on tonight, ladies. That's right. It is all about us. And so as I talk to other women, and of course, being a woman myself, we go through a lot. And it can affect our mental health. A lot of things just take a toll on us, whether it's, of course, we're not going to talk about the pandemic, that was in itself mentally challenging. Of course, our jobs, being just a mother, being a wife, or being a friend. Maybe you're a caregiver and you have to take care of someone, and our hormones. Don't get me started on hormones. But we need to take care of ourselves so that we can be better able to take care of other people. And so I have invited a few guests on tonight who are going to help us. They're going to talk to us about our mental health. You have known them before. They've been on here before. And I'm excited about these ladies' information they're going to share. Our first runner-up is going to be Dr. Larissa Strath. And I'm excited because she always gives just some great information because our mental health, it starts with us taking in the right foods. And so, of course, if we're eating things that are loaded with sugar and fats, we're not going to be our best. And so she's going to talk about all that. And so I present to you guys, Dr. Larissa. Hello, Dr. Larissa.
Hello, Lady Pam. Hello, everyone. It's good to be back.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I know, back again. You're back again.
I know. Always good to be back.
Yeah. So please, of course, I don't know if I made you a.
Yep, I can share my screen.
Okay, all right. Let me go ahead and there we go. Okay. So so as we talk about this thing of mental health, it's so important because if you even watch the news, the news in itself will challenge you mentally. And so it's just a lot of stuff that's going on in our world now, just a lot of stuff. And so it can kind of wear on our minds and our bodies. But talk to us about how to be healthy for our mind's sake.
Yeah. No, I think as I was sitting here, as the song was playing, I was kind of sitting reflecting on how we all were kind of saying we've all had a chaotic week and, in our own lives. And then also, like you're saying, like on the news, and just we're coming out of, we're in an endemic now. That's like the good part. But, 2 years of pandemic. And then, the past few weeks, just everything that's been going on. I think this is like the perfect time to get together and kind of talk about our mental health. Just kind of for real. Because as women, I think we, and my mom and I are actually talking about this, we're expected to wear a lot of hats. We have to work. And then we're also still expected to, get home, take care of the kids, make dinner, be kind of that primary caregiver, just with societal roles and all that stuff. And it can wear on us. I've come on here a lot and talked about, if you don't nourish your body, it's not going to, don't love your body, it's not going to love you back. But the same thing goes with our mind. And I think often this gets overlooked, especially as women. And our minds are really, really, really important to take care of. So thank you for letting me kind of ramble again about stuff that I think is cool. I always say that. But I'm going to talk kind of about a healthy body and a healthy mind. So first, I just kind of want us to think about what is a healthy mind? What does that mean to you? Tonight, I hope that we have a chance as we're discussing to kind of destigmatize these topics, because we are all human, and it's really important that, you know, if you take anything away from tonight, that this is normal health, and this should be talked about. My mom always said growing up, my dad as well, because I know they're both watching. My parents always told me, you know, if you broke your arm, you'd go to the doctor, you'd get help for your broken arm. Why would you not do the same thing for your brain or your mind? So hopefully you leave here kind of refreshed, and you know that this is normal and it is part of health. So a healthy mind, by definition, if you're going to get sciencey, includes all of the aspects of emotional, psychological, and social well-being, and it's going to affect how we think, feel, and act. It is going to help us determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make tons of healthy choices. And a healthy mind is like probably the most important part to our overall health. So in the United States, more than 50% of people are going to be diagnosed with a condition that affects the mind at some point in their life. That's just the facts of life. While you don't necessarily need to be diagnosed by a doctor with a condition, it's important to note that symptoms associated with brain health can actually affect us all, no matter our background or our life circumstances. I remember one of the first times when I got real about my mental health, I remember saying, but I don't have it as bad as a lot of people. I don't understand why I'm depressed. And I just remember my therapist being like, mental health doesn't discriminate. So no matter who you are, what you're going through, mental health is important. So I want to touch briefly, because I have to do this, my due diligence as a neuroscientist, to talk about the neuroscience a little bit, so that when I talk about the food, you know what words I'm referring to. So just kind of touch on the neuroscience of your brain and your mind. So our brain is, you know, this mysterious thing. The more we learn about it, the less we know about it. But it generates our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. So it controls our body, but it also controls our mind. So stress, as we all know super well, can cause us to become depressed, anxious, lose sleep. This can cause us to consume comfort foods, or kind of turn to things like smoking or drinking, or not engaging in physical activity, due to increased levels of a hormone called cortisol, which is referred to as your stress hormone. So when you get super stressed, you have a lot of this hormone called cortisol. And that's great if you're thinking about the adaptation that we have about fight, flight, or freeze. So we all have this response. So what happens in situations, say, you know, you're out in the woods and there you see a bear, you're going to do one of three things. You're going to either fight, flight, or freeze. That's just basically what happens. So you're either going to be like, I'm going to fight the bear and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to get it. Or you're going to, I'm out of here. Like, I'm running. Or if you're like me and a lot of people with their stress, anxiety, they freeze and they just kind of stand there like a deer in the headlights, and they just don't know what to do. So that's great for those kinds of situations, right? But the same thing, the same fight, flight, or freeze response happens when the daily stressors happen. So, you know, the car won't start, the kids are running late, all of the things. We'll start fighting, we'll start getting snappy, we'll start, fighting with our words, or sometimes it gets physical, sometimes we'll just retreat and we'll run away from the situation. Or if you're like me, you'll just kind of just stand there and lay in bed and be like, I can't move. But what's interesting during that fight, flight, or freeze response is our brain thinks that we need to fight or run, even if the stressor doesn't appear to be fought. So it feels the need. Basically what happens is our body kind of redisperses its resources and it feels the need to obtain really quick energy. And if you have been following Cooking Well or have been to any of our previous talks when I've been on here, you know that quick energy comes from carbohydrates. That's our body's quickest source of energy. And so this is why when we're stressed, a lot of us will crave sugar and carbs because our body thinks we need all that quick energy because of that cortisol boosting up. So just to touch on a couple of the cool neuroscience-y words, just really, really quick. So our frontal lobe is kind of what we're talking about when we're talking about the regions of the mind that we're familiar with right now. So your frontal lobe is kind of what helps you with reason, awareness, language, ability to function in society. So if you were to literally point to it on your head, you would point at your forehead. It's just all right here. And then your limbic system, which is kind of deep into your brain, it's what helps us deal with our emotional responses. So it's made up of these parts that are, these really long names called the amygdala, hippocampus, and cingulate gyrus. So there's been studies done that actually show significant differences in like the size of these areas of the brain, as well as the makeup of the neurons in between people who have depression versus no depression, anxiety versus no anxiety. And for example, so scans of brains with depression have shown significantly less gray matter, which is the stuff that makes up your brain in those areas. And that's where most neuron signaling occurs. So if you're starting to lose that amount of that gray matter, you're going to get some signals that are getting crossed. Just a couple more things before we move on to the food part. So we know what we have our definition straight. So neurotransmitters are the messengers that relay information between our brain regions and throughout our entire body. So that's a really, really important one to remember. There's a lot of neurotransmitters, but there's three really important ones that I want to hit on because they are directly tied to our diet. The first one is called acetylcholine. You can just call this ACH. And it's a neurotransmitter that is very critical to body functions and plays a role in cognition. So anytime you move your hands, you run up the stairs, you think a thought, your brain and your nerves are firing acetylcholine back and forth. And that's kind of what's making these thoughts happen and the ability for your hands to move. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps regulate appetite. And it also mediates our mood. So it's often called your happy hormone. So people who have a lot of anxiety and depression are often have low amounts of serotonin within their brains. So when they are put on medications, they are put on something called, one of the medications is called an SSRI, which basically affects the amount of serotonin and allows it to kind of build up in the brain so you can have a more steady mood. So what's interesting is that 95% of our serotonin is actually produced in our gastrointestinal tract. So that is a new thing that we've found out. So we've talked about gut health on here. So again, kind of honing into what we eat really does matter. And this was kind of the first thing that scientists figured out that kind of started to correlate this food and emotion phenomenon. And the last neurotransmitter that is really important that we're going to talk about a little bit more when it comes to the food is dopamine. So dopamine is another neurotransmitter that makes you feel good. So people who have anxiety, depression, things like ADHD, all those kinds of things, they're usually lacking a lot of dopamine. So one of the ways that you can get dopamine is eating things that make you feel happy. So oftentimes when you are anxious or depressed, you'll find yourself not only craving sugar and carbs because, my brain thinks I need to fight, flight, or freeze, but I'm also craving dopamine. I'm not necessarily craving the food. My brain is craving dopamine, basically. So imbalances in these neurotransmitters may result in someone becoming more susceptible to certain conditions. These are things like anxiety, depression, OCD, ADHD, PTSD, bipolar disorder. Those are kind of the mental health category. But then you can also get some cognitive decline as well. So things like Alzheimer's, dementia, all those things. And then also addiction and dependency can be tied back to a lot of these imbalances in neurotransmitters. So I'm going to leave that to the professional. I'm going to leave that to Valerie to talk about that. But I did want to touch on, since we are talking about food, I did want to touch on what to look out for if you think that you are coping with your mental health with food. And that is basically how a lot of eating disorders and disordered eating starts. So an eating disorder is technically, by definition, it's a behavioral condition characterized by severe and persistent disturbance in eating behaviors. And it's associated with distressing thoughts and emotions. So it can affect physical, psychological, and social function. And if you know me, you know I'm an open book. I've been diagnosed with bulimia. And so for me personally, when I would eat, it was normally when I was stressed, and I would binge and I would eat a whole bunch. And then I would have this really negative experience afterwards, thinking about, oh my gosh, you ate way too much food. You ate too much junk, and you were, supposed to be the expert in this. And then what happens after is then you compensate by what they call purging. And for me, it was over exercising. Just I would exercise for like 4 hours. And that apparently, I didn't know that because we're taught that bulimia is classic, you throwing up after you eat and all that kind of stuff. But there are other ways to purge, things like over exercising, skipping meals, things like that as well. Disordered eating have similar behaviors associated with eating disorders, but at a lower severity. So having negative emotions attached to food is the big thing. So these are things, like I said, anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating are kind of the big ones. Okay. So getting into that, how does food affect our mind? So I talked about some neurotransmitters. I talked about the parts of the brain. Now we're going to get into how does food even begin to touch my brain? Like how does that work? So there's a lot of studies out there that show a strong correlation between a healthy diet and mental well-being. So our brains are constantly working. So we're thinking all the time, even when we're asleep, they're constantly working. So it needs fuel to function properly. And the fuel comes from the food that we eat. So it would make sense if we do not give ourselves the correct fuel, just like we would for the rest of our body, things may not work as well as they could. So deficiencies of both macro and micronutrients can actually impair your brain function. So I'm sure everybody here has been hungry or hangry before. Where you haven't eaten and you're missing your macronutrients, you're missing your fats, your proteins, your carbs, you're missing your calories, you don't have as much energy. And you get hangry and you get brain fog, and you're just kind of sitting there and things are almost happening in slow motion. And that's because your brain does not have the energy it needs to process all the information that it's taking in. So one specific diet that you notice when you start it, that you notice this brain fog, is when you go on a low carb or keto diet. There's a lot of brain fog associated with those diets as kind of a side effect, because no matter what you take in, your body will change it to carbohydrates and send it to your brain. Your brain only really gets its energy off of carbohydrates. So you can intake protein, your body will flip it around to carbohydrates and send it to your brain. But if you can imagine, it takes a lot less time for the carbohydrates to make it to our brain if you're just eating them as opposed to eating fat and protein when your body has to do that switch in order to send it to the brain. So it basically slows down the amount of fuel that's getting to your brain. So people who go on keto or low carb diets for the first little bit, if not for the entire time, will often have this side effect of brain fog. That's just an example. It can also happen if we, skip a meal. I know a lot of moms skip meals because they're too busy making sure the kids fed. And then they're like, wait, I haven't even eaten yet. So when you skip a meal, that's what's happening is you're running out of fuel for your brain. Deficiencies of appropriate vitamins and minerals are really important because they help protect from oxidative stress. And we've talked about that a lot. So it will actually protect your brain against brain damage from things like viruses, environmental toxins, all kinds of stuff. Those vitamins and minerals are going to be crucial to help protect from oxidative stress. What's interesting is there's a lot of research coming out about the quality of your food and then your risk of having dementia later on. So people who have diets that are very high in antioxidants and those good vitamins and minerals tend to not only live longer, but to have less bouts of dementia as they age. So, which is really, really cool that we can do that. The other thing is our brain is mostly made up of fatty acids. So it uses carbs for fuel, but it is made up of fat. It is a big ball of fat. So it's really important to consume healthy fats to help maintain a proper brain structure. So those are your unsaturated fats, things like your mono and poly unsaturated fatty acids. They're on your food labels. And this is really important, especially as women during pregnancy. So many congenital neurological disorders come from a lack of healthy fats in the diet while the mom is pregnant. So this can cause issues with basically the brain formation while the fetus is in its mom. So really, really important to make sure we're getting our healthy fats. Our healthy fats like omega-3s are really, really big for brain health. I'm sure you've seen that on advertisements and, packaging and marketing, but they really are super duper important for brain structure, for brain health, to help kind of fight neuroinflammation, so inflammation of the brain. Omega-3s are really great for that. Same with your vitamins and minerals. And again, the types of carbohydrates will also affect our brain differently. So those simple carbohydrates, those sugars, those quick refined, white sugars are going to cause a spike in blood sugar and an energy crash. So we're going to get a lot of energy. I'm sure you've seen a kid on Easter after they've eaten all of their Easter eggs at once, and then they crash afterwards. Not only does the body crash, but the brain crashes too. So if they're being grouchy when they're on their crash, it's only natural. Their brain is grouchy because the energy source has diminished. So all of these nutrients are key to supporting proper brain function and development. So always think about your macro and micronutrients for your brain structure. And then as well, a lot of those fats and proteins are going to go on to become those neurotransmitters we talked about earlier. So things like dopamine and serotonin and acetylcholine, those are going to come from essential fatty acids and proteins. We can't make them on our own. We have to get them from our diet. So we have to get those fatty acids from our diet in order for our body to turn them into the neurotransmitters we need so that our body can talk to itself. So you're probably sitting there, what foods can I eat? This is my last slide to make my mind healthy. And it's probably going to be a repeat if you've heard me talk before. But it is going to be not a traditional Western diet, not what we typically think to go to as our comfort foods, what we would naturally kind of gravitate towards. So the Western diet is made up of a lot of processed, high fat, and sugar content, convenience style foods, whereas things like a traditional diet or a Mediterranean diet consist of a lot of fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats, and minimally processed foods. So some research that I found that was really cool is after comparing the Western diet versus the Mediterranean diet, those who consumed a Mediterranean diet showed a 35% lower risk of depression than those who consumed the Western diet. So an example, I know I did an entire talk. If you want to go back and find it on the YouTube page, I know that the church has a YouTube page. But in short, a traditional Mediterranean diet has an emphasis on fresh fruits and vegetables. So you're getting all of those vitamins and minerals that are going to be protecting your brain from oxidative stress and inflammation and any kind of toxins that gets thrown its way. Fish and poultry, so lean meats and fatty fish. So fatty fish are going to be this awesome source of those fatty acids that we were talking about that not only make up our brain structure, but also go on to become those neurotransmitters, those dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine. Whole grains are going to give us sustained energy as opposed to the sugar high and the sugar crash. So making sure that we have our complex whole grains, so things like quinoa, whole wheat, brown rice, all kinds of stuff, basically, and nuts and seeds as well, legumes, and small amounts of dairy. So due to a wide variety of nutrients in this diet, it not only protects against cognitive disorders or brain diseases, but it also is going to protect against many chronic illnesses, as you've heard me talk about before. So again, the best way that I can make it practical is always just to say, look at your plate and try and get as many colors as possible on your plate. Make it a game, make it a challenge, get your kids involved, because then they will be forming healthy habits, and then they also get to feel like they're a part. And that also is huge when it comes to the psychology of children. And there's actually a whole big swath of research now about eating around the table together, and what that psychologically does for a family, for friends, or just peers, society, communities, just getting together and eating around a table, because eating is something that we all do. It's something we all have in common. And it's always a good starting place. But there's actually a ton of research out there now pointing to increases in brain health, increases in mental health, emotional health, just by taking the time to turn off the TV, sit around the table, and, nourish yourself with a good meal, but also with the company of those around you. And with that, I'm going to pass the baton because I think that will lead into what Valerie wants to talk about in terms of our mental health. So, of course, I want to say thank you. My Instagram is Dr. Larissa Strapp, and my other Instagram is Cooking Well, and we do all kinds of nutritious recipes. Morgan, our lovely intern, makes all kinds of really cool content if you want to follow. So thank you.
Awesome. Dr. Larissa, listen, I don't care how many times you said it, repetition is
yes.
good. It is good. Very thorough. And as you were talking, I was thinking about, and I'll use myself, for example, a lot of times when I am stressed or I'm feeling stressed, then I tend to gravitate towards foods that I should not be eating, or we're busy. So I'm just going to grab the quickest thing, which may be the candy bar sitting on the table, or, or if our schedule is so packed, I don't have time to cook, we're going to run and get something by a fast food place. But all of that is decreasing all of you talked about the serotonin and the dopamine, all that stuff. Now, when you talked about dopamine and eating foods that make you feel good, I immediately thought about chocolate. I don't know if you saw me chocolate. I was like, that's my go-to food right there is chocolate.
I know, mine is chips because it's got the crunch. And I'm like, oh, it's the crunch that really gets my dopamine going.
And so you did, and as a woman, we just have to learn, try to plan, schedule, really try to, even if we got to do some meal preps, but do something so that we can make sure what we're grabbing is, not something unhealthy. It's the protein. So all the foods you talked about, the fruits and the veggies, the fish, poultry, whole grains and seeds, those kind of foods increase your serotonin and your dopamine.
And your acetylcholine.
The ACH.
All of the things, everything, all the neurotransmitters that we have, our body builds from the food that we eat. So if we don't have the building blocks, if you don't have the Lego, you can't build the castle. So it's really, really important. And one of my really good friends who's finishing her PhD is actually doing it all in nutrition and mental health. So it's becoming a very big thing. That's good. I do appreciate, I'm sure our audience does too, just how you talk about the makeup of the brain. That kind of gives us a segue of why it is important to eat this way. So because if your brain is mostly made of fat, you need to have healthy fats. And in the long run, we won't have hopefully all these issues, health issues, even the gaining weight because we're grabbing all this food that's not healthy. And then of course, hopefully decreasing our chances of getting Alzheimer's. So so awesome, Dr. Larissa. Hang tight. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Of course, she's already told how you guys can reach her on Instagram. So please do so if you have any questions or any comments. If you have some in the comment section, especially on Facebook, please put them in the comment section so we can get them answered. But now we have Miss Valerie, who is a licensed professional counselor, soon to be Dr. Valerie, hopefully pretty soon, Dr. Valerie Wilson. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about why our mental health is important. She's probably a little stressed right now going through all this doctoral stuff. So maybe you can talk about that too.
I think I will. I appreciate Dr. Larissa. She is a big cheerleader of mine and have been supportive, so I appreciate her. And especially on those key points that she was talking about around the fight or flight response, and how those stress hormones are released into the body and how they do affect our eating habits. I think I've been commissioned to talk about why self-care is important. And when we talk about self-care, we think about things that we can do to take care of our bodies, whether that goes to getting a pedicure, a manicure, taking a break. But I want to talk about how to regulate some of those stress hormones that occur in the body. So often we do go from task to task without stopping. Just like you guys mentioned, you turn on the news and you see all that's happening there. We're going through COVID and all of the things that's happening there. Being in a doctorate program and opening a new business, I don't know what I was thinking, but it's stressful. It is stressful. And then also trying to be available for my family as well. So a lot of different stressors even happening personally for myself. But one of the things that I really like to be intentional about is actually taking a break, unplugging from those avenues, those channels where you're being overstimulated. Even with your day-to-day stressors, when you come in from work, and you're immediately going to cooking, or you're immediately going to another task without even taking a moment to decompress, that is putting our body into a sense of overload. So one of the ways that I have talked about in the past on this platform is to do a self-check-in. That might be taking the time to breathe, taking the time to get into a space where you can actually let go of some things. But a self-check-in says, I'm going to ask myself some questions. I talked about this a while back with Dr. Mason, and we looked at Psalms chapter 42, and this individual who was speaking in this passage was asking himself a series of questions. Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why are you disquieted? He just went on and on to ask himself these questions, which I find that we rarely do. We are not very intentional with asking those questions, but allow stressors to just linger. Things happen, shootings happen for a moment. We feel that stress. We go through daily tasks, we feel that stress, but never really address it. Never really asking ourselves the question, is there something that I need? What's going well for me? What's not going well for me? So I think that taking that time to yourself to say, how am I doing? Am I okay? And even being willing to say, I'm not okay, when that's true for you. Sometimes we will dismiss that and pretend to be okay, or to override that feeling. Overriding what our body is saying is a habit that we can get into. And when we're overriding what we need, then we kind of throw ourselves into a habit to endure stress, to be that stress become a sense of normalcy for us. So I think that once we take the time, be intentional with asking ourselves the question, take a step back and say, am I really doing okay? Now, there are reasons why we're not open with others, or reasons why we're not being upfront with others about how we're doing. We may think that, how is this person going to judge me? How will they perceive me if I'm not okay? Will I be perceived as weak? Will I be perceived as having a lack of faith? Will it inconvenience? Will my needs inconvenience others? And then if we're concerned about that, we tend to withhold what's happening for us to try and be available to others. That's not going to work long term, because in those moments when we're allowing ourselves to be under significant stress, just like Dr. Larissa mentioned, these stress hormones are being released. And that's when we get into seeing anxiety and depression becoming disorders. Now, it's common for us to experience some form of anxiety. It's also common for us to experience depressed mood when things do happen in our life. You know, you're bereaving, or you experience grief or something like that. It's common for you to have a reaction of sadness or depressed mood. It doesn't necessarily mean you have a disorder of depression. So when these stress hormones are released, we need to be able to check in with ourselves to say, what do I need for this time? And am I willing to give it to myself? Am I willing to say, I'm not okay, set that boundary, delegate that task, whatever it is that we need, or to at least say, I'm not going to be able to show up or be available in that moment. Now, I found a very funny video, and I was just hoping that I'd be able to share it, just so that you can kind of get an idea about what it would look like to actually set boundaries with other people. So I'm going to take a moment to show that video, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
Grammarly helps you work more efficiently, which makes a accomplishing your work goals easier.
And Zach, I put the power in PowerPoint today. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys, don't forget, party this weekend. My place. Bring booze, chips, and most importantly, yourselves.
Ooh, I can't make it on Friday. I agreed to help a friend move, and I don't know what time we're gonna be done.
Yeah, I wish I could go too, but my dad's in town. I gotta show him around the old city. You know how dads are.
Dad loves cities.
They do. Sure. Well, bummer. Well, what about you, Quinta?
Oh, I can't go either because I don't want to. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Do you have something to do?
No, I just don't want to go.
Do you, is your dad in town? And you have to take him around the city too?
Oh, no. My dad is living peacefully in Philadelphia. He hasn't visited in years. I just don't want to go.
You don't want to go because it's far away, because it's in Studio City, and that's a drive.
I actually live pretty close to Studio City in the Valley. Yeah. I just don't want to attend the party.
I'm sorry, Quinta. Is this something I did?
Oh my God, Justin, no. Where are you kidding me? You're a dear. You didn't do anything. I just would rather not and will not be attending your party.
Hold on. Is it because you have an improv class that night? That's what it is.
No, that's actually at 3:00 p.m. in the afternoon.
Oh, but that night you got roller derby. That's why you can't go.
Thank you so much for remembering, Steve. Such a doll, but that actually got canceled this weekend.
Quinta, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
I'm having a party.
Yes.
And you're my friend.
I am.
And I invited you.
Thank you.
But
I am not going to that party.
What are you going to do instead?
What is your reason for not going to his party?
Oh, my reason. The reason that I'm not going to Justin's party is that I do not want to go to Justin's party.
Hold on. Let's figure this out.
Okay.
I invited you
Yes.
to a party, which means Quinta goes. Right.
Okay, let me show you the problem with your logic there. Let me get that match just a little off. So, see what you did here, but what you forgot was X, which is I don't want to go, which then changes the outcome to I am not going.
Wait, what?
Simple math.
I get it. Quinta here is trying to pull a fast one on us. She's saying that she's not going to go. She's going to show up halfway through the party and yell surprise. It's an opposite surprise party.
That's genius.
Okay.
That is a really fun way to think of it, you guys.
Yeah.
If the surprise is that I will not be there because I'm not going.
Come on. I'm having a party and I invited you and you're just not going to go because you don't want to go? At least these guys came up with valid excuses. Right, guys? Steve?
Wish I could be as honest as Quinta. I'm not going because I don't want to go.
I mean, my dad actually is in town and wants to go see the city, but I mean, if he wants to go to your party, then maybe.
Hello, son.
Oh, hey, sir. Would you be interested in coming to my party?
No, I don't want to go to your party.
And Bella, it would be the sister.
Right.
Saying, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
I don't want to go. But she was doing something that is really difficult to do for us in terms of being honest with ourselves and what we need, want, or desire, or even think or feel in that moment. So I like this video. I show it throughout some of my sessions. Sorry about any vulgar content if that came across the screen, but I thought that was the perfect example to talk about what self-honesty look like, what boundaries look like for you. So in order to regulate some of those stress hormones, we have to be willing to give ourselves the time and space we need to set, to have some downtime, to not move from task to task, and And so that's what I really wanted to stress today. I didn't have a whole lot for all of you, but again, if we can be intentional with being honest with ourselves, not overriding that inner voice that lets us know you're not okay. Therefore, take a break, take a moment to breathe, delegate some of the tasks, be willing to say no. That's what I want you to hear today. So to regulate some of that stress.
Well, you said a lot, because it's hard to say no, especially when you have a lot of people pulling on you. It is hard to say, I just don't want to go. I don't want to do it. You don't want to hurt feelings. You don't want to ruin relationships, but it is important for our self-care to say no, and I know everybody's heard this illustration of when you're flying on an airplane, how when they're giving those instructions, they'll say in event of an emergency, you take care of yourself first, put the mask on yourself first, then put it on your child. So as moms, hello, we got to take care of ourselves first. As wives, take care of yourself first. As daughters, whatever role you're in, you have to take care of yourself first. That's enough in I mean, that's awesome in itself, because we only need one activity we got to work on. If you would have gave us a whole bunch of stuff, we would have been like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. We need to take care of ourselves first. And I did have one question. If someone is thinking, well, I don't know if I'm stressed or not, what are some possible signs or symptoms that you are stressed? Larissa hit on something about, being snappy. Are there some other just quick little things that people can notice, or maybe their family has said about them, and now they're like, oh, maybe something is wrong with me? What is some, like, just a couple of signs or symptoms?
Yeah, I agree that one of them can be that irritability, not sleeping well, having changes in your diet where you're not eating well. One of my things is, one of the things that my husband recognized is that I will sit in my thoughts. He's like, are you okay? And I was like, there is a lot on my mind that I'm not being vocal. I'm not verbalizing with him. So that is a moment that I'm able to say, oh, I probably do need to talk about this. If you have physiological symptoms like headaches or joint pain, things like that show up, those can be some indicators as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Valerie, tell us how people can contact you. People are always asking me, hey, what's her name? What's her information? So if you can, if people want something more detailed, a detailed session, how can they contact you?
They can go through my website, refinedmindshealth.com.
Okay, refinedmindshealth.com. Okay, we'll put it in the.
Yep, that content, all that information is on Facebook as well, under Refined Mental Health and Wellness.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Dr. Valerie Wilson, and blessings upon you and your new business and everything. And so transitioning to Miss Shannon, we talked about those signs and symptoms of, possibly that something is going on with you mentally. And so wanted to invite Shannon on again. She is a hairstylist, my old hairstylist back in Atlanta, miss her dearly. But she also opened up her own beauty academy, which is awesome. Everybody on here has a lot going on. Y'all probably can talk about stress. I'm sure you're stressed about that. This was probably on time for you guys as well. But tell us how it can affect our hair, and maybe possibly some things that we can do to, I know Larissa talked about kind of the foods we can eat, but kind of what we can do even topically. So if you can share with us just kind of things for our hair that we can do during this time.
Oh, thank you so much, Lady Pam, for having me. First of all, let me just say again, I'm Shannon Smith, and I'm just so excited to share some beauty tips and just talk about how beauty really, honestly, when it comes to mental health, how it can kind of help in those areas, right? I will say this, I've been a licensed cosmetologist now for almost 30 years. And of course, a salon owner and a beauty school owner. So I'm excited about that. And first, I just want to say, you know, of course, we've been in COVID. Well, we had COVID like last year, all types of different situations. I mean, they have like new viruses these days. And all of that can really affect us mentally too, right? And then we come to a place where we've been used to doing our hair, say within the confinements of our home. And so, you know, because of COVID and all of those things. But I really believe that honestly, it's self-care. It's like the best feeling for anyone who is dealing with just stress, different type of situations and issues that we have, of course, daily, right? I have 4 children, and I do a lot in my day. But honestly, when I get ready to shampoo my hair, I just love the way it makes me feel. And of course, we understand that the hair is a part of the scalp and the skin, and it all connects, the blood flow and all of those things. Because sometimes people be like, it's just hair, right? But it's really not. You know, it is important that you eat well. It is important that you drink water to hydrate, because as African Americans, we all know that we do suffer in the dryness area, right? And so moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. I cannot say enough to the women on this live. It is so important to just keep your skin as well as your scalp hydrated. The skin is connected to the scalp. We all know that, right? So it is important that we do both. And of course, you have to research the shampoos. It's not just using any shampoo. We understand, and I will tell you this, as far as like a cleanser, you must go back from that cleanser using a cleanser, because it's going to strip the hair, right, of any type of excessive oil, dirt, and all of those things, right? So you got to go back in after that cleanser with a hydrating shampoo. It is so important that we keep our hair moisturized, whether you are a brunette, whether you're brown, whether you're dark brown, whether you're blonde, high lift colors. It is truly important with hydration. And honestly, what I have learned over time, I do have a product line called Beauty 21. And what I decided to do over all these years, and what I've understood mostly, is that how we like to feel when we use shampoos and conditioners, right? We do love the smell because we are women, right? We love, you know, how things smell. If it smells orangey, rosy, flowery, and all of those things. But it's also key to the just the mental part of it, right? How you feel lying back in the shampoo bowl, your experiences in the salon, even your experiences, say, even at home, right? We look for like, oh my God, this shampoo made my hair feel, whether it lather really well, right? And the softness of the shampoo. So all of those things play an important part in just how it makes us feel. And I feel like those are key components, of course, when it comes to mental health. It is so important that even in our busy schedules, what we do every day, that we really tend to ourselves as individuals, because we tend to so many other things. And that's hair should be a part of balance, right? It should be really a part of your life. And it should be incorporated into your weekly schedule. Once again, I talked about how products make your hair feel. So what I discovered over the years is that with the essential oils, and one thing I use in my shampoos is peppermint oil. Why I chose that is because honestly, if you have headaches, if you just say stress, it's a stress reliever. It's and it also helps with like dryness of the scalp. But every time people use it, they're like, man, it relaxed me so, right? Because we don't really look at shampoos and conditioners and what's the type of ingredients in it as far as what it tends to do to our behavior or how it relaxes us, right? And so, because people just, once again, it's all about the smell. It's all about how, if it really cleanses. But what I've noticed is with using that peppermint oil, people love it because it tends to relax them mentally, because it's what in that, it's on the head, right? And it's part of the scalp. So I just say be really attentive to certain ingredients that you use when it comes to your beauty products. When it says it's natural, whether it's rosemary, those type of things, because honestly, it is a stress and it's a stress reliever, as well as it will relax you mentally when you have a lot going on. And so I'm not a doctor, but I do understand the importance of certain ingredients and what it does for the hair and the scalp. And of course, we understand that the blood flows underneath all of that, right? So it is a part of making you feel good, look good for one, because looking good when it comes to mental health is important. We always have, like I said, we can get busy. We really can get busy. I heard someone say they're in the doctoral program, they're doing certain things. And honestly, when you have a lot of stress, you guys, it is so important to just take the time to get a good shampoo. It's therapeutic. Seriously. Making yourself look good, it's therapeutic. And we don't look at it like that, but anything concerning self-care to me is therapeutic when it comes to keeping your mental health at a healthy place, even while going through the busyness of your schedule in our lives, whether it shifts here and there. And I know all so well. That's the truth. So I'm not going to be long, but I just wanted to share the importance of sometimes we really don't look at the ingredients that's in shampoos, and we really don't connect our hair with our scalp, and our scalp with our skin, and our skin with our blood flow. But it all plays a part. And we have to understand it all connects, right? It's like the puzzle. It connects to make the puzzle works efficiently or look great. You know what I'm saying? When it's all put together. And so we want to just make sure we take care of our beauty health. We'll make sure we take care of ourselves. So, I love it. I'm a blonde, and people always say, "Oh my God, you're blonde. It's so nice." And I have my days. Like I have full days, but I have learned to take those moments to pamper myself. Even if I'm shampooing my hair myself, the dryer time for me is like the best meditation. It just helps mentally calm you down, get you into a place where you can think clearly, and you can process your day and process what you have going on in your life. So don't neglect, your beauty, just your self-care. Let me say that, because honestly, it really does help when it comes to your mental stability and just making you feel good. So
thank you, Shannon. Let me piggyback on that, going to the beauty salon. And you are so right. It is so therapeutic. What is a funny story on our end, when I go and my husband calls, he just hear like a bunch of laughing. So, because it's not just, getting your hair shampooed, and I love the peppermint oil. It's that tingly, something about that tingly feeling to my scalp is just so good. But it's also just the sharing, the laughing. Laughing is therapeutic. And so you are so right. Moisturizer. Let me ask you a question. Because there's some woman out there saying, well, I wonder if, I'm stressed and my hair is doing something funny. Can you tell us, like, would somebody's hair be thinning, or would the scalp be dry? Are there some like signs that we know that, hey, we need to moisturize more, or, maybe our hair is falling out, are there some signs that we would see?
Yes, you will. So you will see some irritation, like itching, like mad, right? Because a lot of times when our nerves are like all over the place, and we be like, even like our skin will get dry, but we'll notice an itch. It'll be like an irritation. We'll start noticing the dryness of the scalp, right? And we're like, what's going on? So you have to figure out, what am I neglecting, right? Am I not drinking enough water? Am I too stressed that I'm not eating properly? So once again, like your diet as well as your intake of water, all of those things honestly do play a part in the healthiness of your hair, right? So those are like key components. When the scalp gets a little bit more sensitive, it'll become more tender. Also, you will have dryness. Like I said, the irritation with the itching, and you will slowly feel like, okay, why am I feeling? It's just a different feeling, and it's something you will notice because it's a feeling that you've never felt before. And then you'll slowly start seeing, because of the dry areas, of course, that's where the shedding will come in the most, because honestly, it's not hydrated enough. And then also the hair is not getting the proper nutrients. People talk about the vitamin A, the vitamin E, the vitamin B, the vitamin C. I promise you, all of those vitamins, the vitamin K, they're all good for your hair, especially when like you take biotin tablets. I don't know if people are familiar with those, but the biotin tablets is to strengthen the hair, right? It is a vitamin, but when you look on the back, it tells you exactly what you're getting and the strength of your hair and what you need. So you will be able to know, like for real, it will be the most tender. We have soft spots, we do, and it will become very irritated, tender. And that's when you know you need to hydrate, or what is missing out of my diet. Or outside of that, stress, right? Stress will cause your skin to itch. I mean, it's crazy, but I've heard people say it. And of course, the hair is attached to the skin. So sometimes you'll even feel like, is my hair dirty? And you just shampooed it, right? And it could be just stress irritating your scalp. So those are key. Those are like key components as far as, noticing, hey, am I stressed? I'm starting to see a lot more shedding. But the solution to it, honestly, is to hydrate and figure out what I am missing. Is it the vitamin E? Is it that I'm not drinking enough water? What are my food intakes? Is it a whole lot of fast food? Of course, if it's the mental health part, right? Nerves, because nerves are in your head. So of course, it's like, I'm nervous all the time. So you know how some people bite their nails? Some people tend to like dig in their scalp. Everybody has a way to try to calm themselves. But trust me, when it comes to your hair, you will know. You will know. It will get brittle on you. The texture will change. You will go from feeling like, all of a sudden now my hair is this way, and it's, you will know. You will know. You will know.
And thank you for that reminder to hydrate, because I don't know if you remember my head, but I have they call it a stress spot right here at the very top. And that's where it always, it itches. And I don't hydrate. Thank you for that reminder for me to hydrate my scalp. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You must put some drops. Like I told you, those vitamin E, take vitamin E drops, coconut oil, any type of, like I said, hydration, hydrate. And I promise you, it will feel a lot better.
Yeah. Shannon, do you still have your products for?
I do. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If people, everyone who's on who's watching us, if you want to purchase some of Shannon's products, she has shampoos, conditioners, It was
Oil.
something I use, oils.
My
Yeah,
my revitalizing mist. Yes.
that's the one. Yeah, I think when I had my braids, we were my daughter and I, we were both kind of using it on our braids. Yes, and talk about that because it's summertime, we're getting the braids, we're getting the protective styles, but we also need to moisturize, right?
Well, yes, because you're putting a lot of tension to the hair. Remember, every time you pull the hair and scalp,
Yeah.
honestly, that plays a part. So you definitely want to just protect it, hydrate it. Hydration, hydration, hydration. It really does. It's soothing and it helps. And that is the honest truth. I cannot stress it enough. But at the same time, like with my revitalizing mist, it is a cleanser. It is to help prevent any type of irritations, any type of breakouts. Like I said, even if you do have some stress moments, right? You can use it because it's very calming too, as well, because of the peppermint oil. That is the biggest key component to the peppermint oil. It really calms the skin, any type of irritation, scalp, or whatever. People say put it behind your ears. It'll help with headaches.
Headaches, yeah.
So anxiety, let me say it like that. So
Yeah.
those are key, elements. It helps. It helps.
Good. Awesome.
And they can go to Beauty 21. I'm
Yes.
sorry about that. They can go to Beauty 21. So www.beauty21hair.biz, and you can purchase the products there. So beauty21hair.biz, B-I-Z, and purchase your products online.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you to all of
You are
our
welcome.
ladies. This was awesome for all the reminders of just the foods we need to eat. Why we need to take some time for ourselves. We need reminders of that, to take a break. We need to take a break sometimes, decompress. And thank you, Shannon, for that reminder. How we need to moisturize our hair. We need to hydrate, drink plenty of water from the inside. So hydrate from the inside, but also hydrate your hair on the outside. Got a question for people who wear, let me make sure I get this question. For people who wear wigs, not seeing the whole question. You have any tips because, I'm sure I used to, anyway, we're going to talk about that. You braid the scalp and then you sew in sometimes the hair, or you braid the scalp and then you put a wig on. So any tips you want to give for people who wear wigs?
So honestly, people who wear wigs, you have to remember, anytime you cover up the hair, right? That right there, you have no moisture, right? So you have to make sure that at night when you take the wig off, right? Because some people wear stocking caps on it, and some people don't. But at the beginning, end of the day, you still need drops, whether it's vitamin E drops, coconut oil, to go through your scalp. So your scalp won't get dry, because remember, it's closed in, right? All day, because you're wearing the wig all day. So it doesn't have time to breathe. You want those pores to breathe. And if the only time those pores are going to breathe is at night, in the evening time, when you're getting ready to go to bed, you have to make sure in the mornings before you put your wig on that you apply what? Moisture, hydration. So as you cover it up, guess what? That moisture is still in the scalp. It's still penetrating. It's not, because once again, like I said, it's not breathing, right? Because it's covered up. And so in that process of it being covered up, you definitely, it's all about hydration. I don't care what type of styling you wear, whether it's braids, whether it's sew-ins or wigs, because even after a sew-in, say you have a sew-in for 6 months, but they do still tell you to go in and either use a dry shampoo or something like that. Because if you think about it, if you wait 4 weeks or 8 weeks, that's a lot of I don't want to say.
Go ahead. We're family. Go ahead and say.
I mean, it's a lot of accumulation of things. And so you just don't want it to be, like it starts to smell, honestly, right? Because you're sweaty. And so the hair will smell, you guys. It will smell. It's yeah, I know I'm trying to be as gentle as possible. So it will it will it will smell. And so in order for you not to have hair that smells, it's definitely good to take a dry shampoo underneath a wig, dry shampoo underneath a sew-in, and also at the same time, that's where my Revitalizing Mist, once again, peppermint oil, because it acts as a cleanser. And so it will help cleanse the scalp. And then of course you go back always with a hydration with some oil, and you use a dropper and just go through and hydrate that scalp. And I promise you, you guys, it helps so much with protective styling. It really does. It keeps the scalp feeling really, really good. And on those stressful days when you are overwhelmed, when you have a lot going on, I promise you, when you treat that hair and that scalp right, listen, you won't have a headache and you will feel better by the end. You know, like it really does help balance all of it.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I was laughing because there's this comedian Carlos, and he was talking about that. He was like, "Can you Febreze that thing?" Talking about her wig because it had that smell. So listen, all wig wearers, if you got sew-ins, whatever it is, whatever kind of hair you have, so important to moisturize and of course to wash
and cleanse and cleanse. Yes,
it.
they have dry shampoos. They really do. They have different. They have it. Trust me, that you don't have to go and just be soaking. You know, like go through a full shampoo, but still shampoo at least out of that once out of every 2 weeks or something, especially with a wig or something.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Shannon. Listen, we're family, you know, and everybody on here look like family. So yeah, just bring it to us real. That's fine. Well, but this was great, everyone. I am excited about all the information that you guys have shared. Ladies, let's make sure we put this into practice. You know, just think about just one takeaway from each one of our guests and just slowly build on that and work on that. Go back and listen to it, implement some other things. So thank you guys. Thank you, Dr. Larissa, Valerie, Shannon. This was awesome, awesome, awesome. Of course, blessings to you guys. Thank you for being available on a Friday afternoon. Thank you for that as well. Ladies who've been watching, hey, make sure you take care of yourselves. It is important. In order for you to take care of others, you got to take care of yourself. And a part of that is eating right. You know, your family depends on you. But so many things. So you got to be around long enough to take care of them. So take care of yourself, give yourself a break, eat the right foods. Let's try to plan our meals. Ladies, make sure you share this with a family member, share this with a mom, your grandma, your sisters, your friends, your coworkers. Please share this with everyone that you know. So important during this time that we take care of our mental health. It's so important. We get into the summer season. Kids are at home, you know, they may be driving you crazy, you know, hey, just think about sometimes you can kind of take a break, whatever that looks like for you. So thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. Thank you so much. And listen, y'all have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. And we will see y'all soon. Thank you, guys. All right. Have a good night. Bye-bye.